I recently realized that I've been knitting my socks on 12-inch circulars. It's just beautiful. And it's not exactly what I was going for, so I stopped. Hello and welcome to Golden Hour Knitwear. My name is Camry and this is just my little corner of the internet where we get to talk about all of my knitting and spinning and fibery goodness. So today I just have a regular podcast episode for you. We're going to talk about my projects, my finished objects. I have a tiny bit of spinning. I went to a fiber festival that was really close to my house. That one was fun. And I think that's about it. Okay, so as usual, I guess, let's start with finished objects. I finished two things. I'm not wearing them. It is sweater weather. I'm wearing like a commercially made kind of sweater. It's long sleeve shirt / sweater territory. But it's a little stuffy in the sunroom today, and I just didn't want to wear the thing that I finished because it's a thick one. It's beautiful though. So I finished two things. I don't think this was done last week. So this is my, oh shoot, what's it called? The basic striped sweater, like the baby version of it. This is the 0 to 3 month size. This was a test knit, so the pattern, I believe the pattern is out now. So if you're interested in making the same one, the pattern is out. And as always, everything, all the links and everything are in the description below if you're interested. But this is a super quick, easy, cute little knit, as expected for being a baby knit. I used fingering weight yarn, though it calls for DK weight yarn. But the gauge is more of a fingering weight gauge in my opinion. So I used fingering weight yarn, and I think it'll be the perfect, just cute little sweater for the little kiddo when the little kiddo comes in December. It's wild because I have a 2-year-old at home. She'll be 3 in November. And it's wild looking at this and comparing her to it and being like, oh, you used to be that little? There's no way you used to be that little. Not at all. But I guess they used to be that little because I got out some old newborn clothes to compare this to it to make sure it was actually the right size. And it's the right size. So it's crazy. Then I'm about to have another little baby that's this tiny. I used these 3 little buttons that I got at Michael's, I believe. These are technically a little bit bigger than the pattern called for, I think, but I think they work. The only thing that I would change about this pattern is I would pick up more stitches for the button band, and I did leave that feedback for the designer, but I don't know if she changed it or not. I haven't looked at the final pattern, but I might rip out the button band and pick up more stitches just because it's kind of cinching in a little bit, like the fabric right here, and I really stretched it when I blocked it, and it is super wash, and super wash stretches. I think it would just look a little neater if I picked up more stitches. So we'll see if I get the urge to do that. I might be too lazy to do that, but that is totally fine. The little kiddo won't know. I'm the only one who knows. But anyway, super cute. That was a fun little knit. And then I finished my Pines pullover. This one is beautiful. I absolutely love this. So I knit this in a new base that I wanted to test out, and I absolutely love it. So I want to bring it to the shop sometime in the next year. But I love it. It's so soft. It is technically like a bulky weight yarn, but it is blown, so it is very, very light and airy. It's like 200 and something yards per 100 grams as a bulky weight. I think you could technically knit it as a DK weight or a worsted weight as well. And it's just so light and fluffy. It's so soft. And it makes beautiful cables. The stitch definition isn't perfectly crisp, but it's nice. It just makes nice, delicate cables. It looks really nice. This is not my most consistent dye job. And it's probably showing up more stripey on camera than it does in real life. But this is a big fat skein of yarn. Like I said, it's like 280-ish or 260 yards or something like that for bulky weight yarn. So it's just a lot of airy fiber. So in the future, will be dyeing like half the amount of skeins in the pan just so that I can get more consistent dye. I believe this pattern is coming out soon. This is also a test. This pattern is coming out, I don't know the date, but it's coming out very soon. If it's out by the time this podcast goes up, I will link it in the description as always, or if not, I'll link the designers in their Instagrams in the description below. But, so the way, this one's interesting. So you start, it's a drop shoulder, but you start by knitting the collar. So you cast on the collar, you fold it, you sew it down, or stitch it down or whatever, knit it down. And then you go to the back of the sweater and you knit short rows here to raise this up, and then you come over here and you knit short rows over here, and then you knit back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right, until you get to the underarm, and then you put those on hold, and then you do the same thing on the front. It's a different construction than I've done before, but it was nice. Because it was different than I've done before, it's not what I was expecting, so it took me a while to get the hang of what was actually happening, because I didn't fully read the instructions, but I really do like the way this one came out, and I love the construction and everything. The sleeves are a straight sleeve, so it's a kind of a balloon sleeve down at the end, and you do rapid decreases at the bottom to get your cuffs to be a little bit more fitted. If you can kind of see, it swoops in on the sides and then goes into the cuff, which I quite like. I think it's a very cute sweater. And then it just has one of the cable motifs down the top of the sleeve going right here. I just really love this one. I think it turned out really great, and it's got twisted rib all over, like for the cuffs, the hem, and the collar. I really like that the cables are only like the front panel and back panel, not panel, maybe that's not the right word, but it's just a section of cables in the front and a section of cables in the back, not all over cables. I really like just the design of this sweater. I think the designer did a fantastic job with it. I talked a little bit more about my experience knitting this one and with the cables and everything on the last podcast. So if you are interested in knitting this one and want to know how the cable process was, you can go back and watch that one, because there are quite a few cables in here. But if you pay attention and you knit consistently on it, it gets to be quite intuitive, and you don't have to like look at the chart and look at the instructions all that much once you get the hang of it. But it took me clear until I got to the body in order to not need to look at the chart quite as much. And I didn't use a cable needle at all. I've come to actually be quite comfortable without a cable needle. So, but this is chunky yarn. It's simple cables. It's not like crazy. It looks interesting, but it's not as crazy as you think it is. But yeah, totally can be done without a cable needle because it's thicker yarn, so it's a good one to try cableless cable knitting. It's a good pattern to try knitting cables without a cable needle if you have not done it before, because it is a chunky weight or bulky weight sweater. Oh, it's so soft. I just want to keep touching it. I would be wearing this right now, but like I said, it is a very warm sweater, and it's slightly, I would say it's room temperature in here, but a little bit stuffy, so I'm not gonna put that on. Okay, so those are my two finished objects. I've got a couple whips, two that you've seen before, and then one new one, and then one that I have only swatched for and I want to cast on pretty soon. Oh, plus some socks. I'm not going to show the socks. I'm just going to say my love letter socks, they're just ribbed socks, but using yarn with a colorway name Love Letter. So I'm calling them my love letter socks. But those ones I have made a tiny bit of progress on. However, I recently realized that I've been knitting my socks on 12-inch circulars and not 9-inch circulars. And that's why I hated knitting on 9-inch circulars, but they're 12 and I thought they were 9-inch, which is dumb. But anyways, I've got some 9-inch circulars on the way to me in the mail, so hopefully when they get here tomorrow, I will be more motivated to work on them. It's just, I didn't mind working, I didn't absolutely hate working with 12-inch circulars. I could do it, I just didn't love it. But once I realized they were 12-inch circulars and not 9-inch circulars, it's been so hard for me to touch my sock knitting. And so I haven't done a lot of sock knitting in the last little while. So hopefully with those 9-inch circulars coming in, my socks will just fly off the needles, and hopefully my gauge doesn't change too much. But we'll see what happens. I'll update you on that next week, or in the next episode. I guess we can start with this one. This has the least amount of progress on it. This is my new design. This one, well, I guess it could technically come out late winter this year, but I don't know that I'll have the brain space for that because, again, I have a little baby coming in December. But this is my, I've been calling it the Not So Basic Rib sweater, but I'm not settled on that name. I just don't know what else to call it. It is alternating knit and seed stitch. And it's going to be a raglan. And then it's got quite a chunky raglan. So it's got, let's see. So it's got this chunkier raglan in the middle with some broken rib in there. But I really do like this. I love the color, and I can tell that I'm going to love it when it's done. So I have been a little bit more motivated to work on it in the last little part of this week. But at the same time, I think I mentioned last time, the motivation is not super high on this one just because it's not going to be very wearable for me until after the baby comes. And that's not for another couple months here. So I could get going on it and then just finish off the body after the baby comes, but I'm not super motivated to work on this one right now. But I do like it. The yarn is beautiful. It's super nice, soft, and squishy, and it'll transform a ton with blocking. I'm excited to finish the yoke and split for sleeves and kind of see where we're at. So I've been trying to get a couple rows here and there put on this one. So there's that one. Okay, the other one that you've seen before for a long time now is my Minou cardigan. And last time my goal was to finish the body of this cardigan, and I finally have finished the body. I am actually very motivated to finish this one. I just put it on hold for a little while because I wanted to show you the finished body without having a billion picked up stitches for the button band, because that's what I'm going to do next. Just because it scrunches things up. So I wanted you to be able to see the full, beautiful body just laying there naturally without being all scrunched up. I'm not sure it's going to have quite as much positive ease as I was kind of expecting or hoping, but that's okay. I'm probably never going to button it up anyways, so that's fine. Most of this is blocked, by the way. I blocked it partway through the body to check on the length, just because it's got a lot of half fisherman's rib in it. And I know that grows a lot with blocking. So I blocked it partway through the body. I think it's all blocked all the way up to maybe this point right here. So it's looking really nice. And the yarn blocks beautifully. Here, I'll show you the back since you can see more of the stitches in the back. But there is quite a lot of grease in this still, lanolin in this still. That's what I mean when I say grease. So I think when I give it a wash, when I finish it and give it a good block, I think I need to like really hot water lanolin, or not lanolin, like maybe even power scour, but just maybe not power scour, but like just really wash some of that grease out, and I think it'll soften up a ton and just be a beautiful yarn. It is a little dense and scratchy working with it, but once it's totally blocked and been worn and loved a little bit, I think it'll soften up a ton. It is a 50% alpaca, 50% some kind of wool. It is a local to me yarn that I found at a local yarn shop. It is just cones of wool, or of the yarn. It's a DK weight, and just local to me somehow. I don't really know a whole lot about it other than it was locally grown and processed and spun. So that was very exciting. And it was only $25 for, you know, all of this was on this cone, and I still have a ton left on the cone. So, I mean, that's a killer price. And I'm thinking I want to go back and get more. I do have a black cone, or black, so there's black, brown, and white. I do have a black one that I have plans for, and I'm itching to cast on just because the yarn is so interesting to me. But I am tempted to go back and get some more, so, because it's feeling really good after a wash. But anyways, I'm excited. I'm going to get the button band on this week. And at least it'd be nice to start picking up a sleeve as well. But I'm just excited to see it transform with a button band and some buttons, get some sleeves on there, and finally be able to wear it. I just want to finish this one up so fast because cardigans are so easy to wear, especially with the big baby bump. Sweaters are just fitting funny right now. So obviously being 7 months pregnant, wow. But cardigans are perfect. So I'm excited to finish this up and wear it because it's absolutely beautiful. I have one button sitting here. This is the button that I'm planning on using. Well, not the only button, I have a couple more of them, but that's what it will look like together. So I'm very excited to finish. I just can't wait to get the buttons on there. And then I love sleeve knitting, so it's just gonna, it's gonna go. We're gonna get it done in the next couple weeks here. I'm determined. Okay, so the next one is a new cast on. You haven't seen it yet. So some background. So I dyed up some 100% baby alpaca sport weight yarn. This is also new base. I don't currently offer this one, but I love it so much. I will be offering it somewhat soon, but also some mohair to go with it. And I wanted to knit the book club cardigan with this one. I don't know if I talked about this last week. I might have. I've been dying to knit the book club cardigan, and this was my plan for it. Because I've heard amazing things about holding an alpaca yarn with a mohair, and I just wanted to test that out for myself and see if I liked it. So that was my plan. And so I knit up a swatch, and this isn't perfectly, like the gauge is not spot on, but with alpaca being a fuzzier yarn, like alpaca itself has a bit of a halo compared to merino. I don't know if you can see it at all, but alpaca, oh, maybe you can see it up here. Alpaca has more of a halo than just regular wool does. Plus the mohair, it's just extremely, it's just extremely fuzzy. And it's hard to kind of see what's going on. It's better because it's a light yarn. If it was a darker yarn, it'd be even worse to see, harder to see. And this isn't bad. This isn't awful. I think I just want a little bit more stitch definition. I think I'm gonna try, instead of a sport weight plus a mohair like Sorry Nordland called for, I think I want to find a worsted weight yarn with a bit of a halo, or like a little bit more of a rustic yarn, or like a woolen spun yarn. Just so that I still have a bit of a halo on it, and it's a bit fuzzy rusticy. Kind of like this one right here. And I wonder if this would work, because this is quite a heavy DK weight yarn. But this is merino and alpaca, and this absolutely has halo on it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's definitely hairs flying all over the place because it is alpaca. So that's what I think I'm gonna look for, just so that I have something to kind of fill in the gauge, fill in the stitches, you know, but not quite this fuzzy. So anyways, while I was knitting this up though, I loved the yarn combo so much, and I loved the buttons that I had planned to use with it. Oh gosh. I just thought these buttons worked really well with this color. And I didn't want it to go to waste. However, when I was knitting it up, I felt like this would just be a beautiful stockinette pattern and just really shine in a stockinette pattern. So I got searching on Ravelry and I couldn't find anything that I wanted. I wanted a cardigan, drop shoulder, V-neck, somewhat loose gauge, but I didn't want it super oversized. I know there's a ton of drop shoulder V-neck cardigans out there with a double knit button band, or not. You can easily add a double knit button band over a ribbed one, but they were all like 8 to 11 inches of positive ease, and I did not want that much, and I was always the smallest size in those and can't go down a size to get a tighter fitting garment. So I'm just winging it. I'm just making my own. So here we are. It's flying off the needles. I started this at the end of last week, I think. Maybe I've got a week, if not like 4 or 5 days knitting on this. But I've been loving it. The fabric is beautiful. The drape is beautiful. It is so soft. And I love the way the mohair and the alpaca are working together knit up. Like the colors of them are I think the mohair is slightly darker than the alpaca. And so it's kind of, it's just a nice marl there. It's just beautiful. I love it. I get quite fuzzy when I work on this. Little bits of mohair and alpaca bits are just flying everywhere. And that's just fine. I've just been using a lint roller a ton after working on this one. But it's amazing and I'm excited to finish this one up. I think I'm gonna have longer ribbing and then, I don't know, we'll just see what happens. Double knit button band. Love these buttons with it, if I can find them again. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. Very excited. I'm thinking I also want to make a sweater version of this. The gauge is like 17 stitches per inch, so it goes pretty quickly. And it's not a like wildly open gauge because it's sport weight plus mohair and it's, you know, alpaca is a little fuzzy, mohair's a little fuzzy. So it's a nice lightweight fabric without being super holey. And it knits up pretty quickly being such a loose gauge. But I think it's just the sweet spot of loose gauge and airiness without being too airy. So I really love it. I think I'm gonna knit a sweater to the same stitch gauge, the same gauge, same yarn combo, same design elements, you know, V-neck, long ribbing, stuff like that. And I think I'll put out a pattern next fall with both of them together, with the cardigan and the sweater in the same pattern. That's what I'm playing with right now. I have no idea what I would name it, but that's just the idea. Because I still have, I have more alpaca mohair in stash and it's white and it's beautiful. So I think I'll do that because it's just simple, fun, quick knitting, and that's what I need in my life right now. Earlier this week, I also swatched for one new project that I'm dying to cast on. I really want to get a rust sweater on and off the needles before fall ends. And so I gotta get going on it. But this is a swatch for the Coming Soon sweater. If I remember correctly, this one doesn't go up to a full 60-inch bust. So just keep that in mind if you're gonna go check it out. I'll always try to give you a heads up if something's not fully size inclusive, just in case, because I don't like getting your hopes up about a pattern and then you go look for it and you can't knit it because it's not in the right size. But so I'll always try to give you a heads up. But this is the Coming Soon sweater, and I'm super excited. So this is half fisherman's rib, and this, so here's one side of it, and here's the other side of it. This is the side that faces out. I think technically, normally this is the side that faces out for half fisherman's rib, I think, but the pattern is saying that the back side is the one that faces out. So it's a slightly different process of knitting than my Minou cardigan is, because here I have the right side facing out as usual, where it just looks like rib with chunkier purl sections, I guess. Whereas on the inside of the cardigan, you have the chunkier purl, chunkier knits and the thinner pearls, if that makes sense. It's super dark. There you go. Maybe you can see. This is the inside of my sweater, my cardigan, with half fisherman's rib. So here's half fisherman's rib, and now I'm just doing it backwards, kind of. So the chunkier side is on the outside rather than the inside. So it's kind of interesting, but I love the color. I love the way it's knitting up. This is Fuzzy Peach Fibers and Pumpkin Spice. This came from her Hello Pumpkin collection last fall, and this has been on my mind ever since she released the collection. Like, this has been my plan ever since, and I'm just dying to cast it on, and so here we go, we're gonna do it. I'm kind of tempted to give myself a little challenge to finish this whole sweater. It's all over half fisherman's rib, so, and it's sport weight yarn, so it'll take me a while, but I am tempted to give myself a little challenge to knit this by the end of October. But we'll see if that actually happens or not, considering my last half fisherman's rib project in DK weight yarn has taken me over a year at this point. But we'll see, because I just desperately want to finish a rust-colored sweater to wear this year, because I love rust. But yeah, I think I need to prioritize my cardigan projects, because those are easier for me to wear than a sweater is. But we'll see, because it's just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm hoping to cast that on this week or next week. I mean, just soon. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. I'm trying to get a lot of work done for Golden Hour Knitwear as far as pattern writing and dyeing and packaging and getting, you know, all sorts of stuff prepped for next year. Just because the baby is coming soon, I want to kind of prepare things for next year so that I don't have a big space of time where I have nothing going on. So I'm trying to prep a little bit ahead of time so that I can kind of keep going and things can keep running smoothly as the baby comes into the house. Obviously I want to take a break from dyeing when the baby's here, but that's why I'm trying to get a lot of dyeing done now. So we'll see if I get a whole lot of knitting done, but I've been pretty good at keeping the balance between work and knitting, so we'll see how it goes in the next 2 weeks. Okay, so that is all of my knitting projects that I have to share. Though I do have an update on my spinning project that I shared a little bit last week, where I'm processing my fleece, and I dyed a bunch of silk oil to blend into my fleece. I'm a little disappointed in it. It's still amazing, but it's not what I was going for at all. And I'm thinking I'm gonna take out the silk oil now. But I'll show you what I'm working with. So here's my little bat, my little sample bat. This is a lot of tweed. This is like 5% tweed. And I did some research. I looked at a lot of yarn online, a lot of swatches, and looked at the tweed content. 10% tweed on commercially spun yarn is not a lot of tweed at all, and that's what I was going for, but I put half the tweed in for this bat and it was a ton, so I stopped. Let me show you. So I have 5% tweed right now, and it's just a lot of tweed. Here, I spun up a tiny little sliver of it, and it's not exactly what I was going for, so I stopped. This just feels very, I don't know, Halloween-y, kind of. It's not exactly what I'm going for, but I mean, the fleece is beautiful. The colors are fun and beautiful. I think though, it's not what I want for this project. The silk oil just really lightens up when it dries, and it's glary. Sorry for the glare, but the silk oil dries a lot when it lightens up a lot as it dries, and it, especially as you pull it apart and you have little bits in there, versus, you know, a big dense chunk of it, I feel like it lightened up a lot. Plus, I think I just wanted very, very dark colors to begin with, but I'm a little worried about adding more dye to these because I don't think they'll hold much more dye, and the color will just bleed a ton more if I add much more. Silk just doesn't take the dye very, very strongly like a superwash merino would. I mean, you can get dark silks, right? But I'm just a little worried, especially with the rust, as it's a red base, and you know, red bleeds more than other colors. So I'm just a little worried to add more. So I think I'm gonna save that silk oil for other projects in the future, just for funsies. And I think I mean, I only carded up one bat, and this is only 50 grams. So I think I'm just gonna card up the rest as it is, and just spin it and just have a beautiful woolen spun, very dark brownish, blackish yarn. And I think it'll be beautiful just the way it is. I think it'll be slightly heathered, because as I was, so looking right at the fleece to begin with, it looks black. But as you wash it and scour it, it'll lighten up, the lanolin will come out, it'll lighten up a lot. And so it does look a little bit more brown now, but I think there are kind of 3 colors to the fleece. If I were to have thought ahead and brought a lockup with me, right next to the animal, like here's the fleece, here's the hair. So the part that was touching the animal was, I want to say brown, I can't remember now. It's been a little while since I've worked on this, but I want to say it was a dark brown. And then as you get towards the middle, it was black, and then the very outside that saw the sun a lot, that was sun bleached a little bit. And so when you blend it all together and you card it up, you get a slightly heathered yarn. A lot of the sun bleached tips, I think, broke off in here. It's hard to tell just because I have the ochre, the golden silk oil in here, but I think I still have some black, I have some brown, and I have a little bit of the light brown sun bleached tips in here. So I think it'll still be a beautiful, beautiful yarn, especially being woolen spun. I think it'll be really fun even without the silk noil. So I don't know what to do with this. I might just spin it for fun. I might send it off to somebody else to enjoy. I haven't quite decided, but it's beautiful. The fleece is very soft, and I'm very excited to finish it up. Plus, it's just a ton of work to weigh out the fleece and then weigh out the each color of the silk noil to make sure that I'm getting an even distribution. I'm getting the same amount of each color in each bat, so that I don't have one skein that is all blue noil or all blue neps and one skein that's all rust neps, and then because that would just look funny, right? It would not turn out so great in the sweater knitting. And so it's just a lot more work to, you know, weigh everything out and then card it, send it through the carder again. So I think it'll go a lot faster, and I'll be much more motivated to work on it with, you know, just the fleece. All right, so that is all of my projects for this video and my finished objects and stuff. Though I did go to a fiber festival near me, like I said at the beginning. There was a fiber festival down here in southwest Ohio. And it's funny, ever since moving to the east side of the country, I'm now getting my east and west mixed up for some reason, just because I'm used to having an ocean to the west of me, but now there's an ocean to the east of me. And I don't know why, it's just messing with my brain. I don't know. Anyway, so there was a fiber festival here in southwest Ohio, and I went with a friend, and I got a couple things. I didn't want to get a whole lot of stuff. My stash is quite healthy and plump at the moment. I didn't want a lot of stuff, but I did get a couple little snacky spins, just fun spins, because I did a lot of spinning recently, and I spun up some of my one-off skeins. And it's fun to have, it's nice to have one-off skeins to just practice spinning and achieving a certain weight, or just practice spinning in general. So it's always nice to have some of those around, and I'll show you everything. Okay, so I went to, it's the Wool Gathering. It's at a farm, or hosted by a farm near me. The farm also is a dairy. They have delicious ice cream. So it's always fun to go get some ice cream. I didn't get ice cream this time. But it's always fun to go and just see what's around, because it's all local to me, and so it's really fun. But so we were walking around, and the first thing that I grabbed, I was trying to keep it simple, keep it low, but I found this booth that had a bunch of little Potluck rovings. I forget who this was. Oh, Sunshine Acres. They had a bunch of just little bags of 2-ounce rovings for like $5 to $10. And this one was so interesting, so I snagged it. It's alpaca, 36% alpaca, 32% wool, 18% mohair, and 14% Angora. So as far as I understand, and this is the only one of this blend that I could find, and I just had to snag it. But as far as I understand, I think their Potluck roving is just taking the extras of whatever they have and throwing it in to make some roving with it. And I was very interested in, you know, the alpaca wool, mohair, and Angora. I think it's an interesting blend. I have an alpaca wool Angora silk blend, but the mohair is quite, whoa, static, is quite interesting to me. So, and these are all slightly different colors. So it looks like we have some dark gray, some light gray, and some brown, maybe even some white. Well, most Angora is white, but it's very soft and without being slippery. It's not comb to top, is what I'm trying to say. So I think it'll be a very fun spinning experience, but it's very soft without being slick, and I'm very excited to spin it and just see what happens, and to see what the marl looks like once it's all spun up, just because of all of these colors. So I'm excited for this one. It's just gonna be a fun little snacky spin to try out a new blend. I've been looking at mohair a lot lately as blending into other things, not necessarily holding mohair double with another strand to knit in a sweater, but blending mohair into fibers because mohair is strong and it's soft and it's lustrous. And so I've just been very interested in mohair lately. And so this is a very unique blend and I'm excited to try it out. And I like that it's just a little 2 ounce. I'll probably just spin it super, super fine and then just knit a little scarf, like a tiny little scarf or something out of it. But love that. And for $5, yes, please. With Angora and mohair, I mean, that could easily be $17 to $20 just for the 2 ounces. For the percentage of Angora and mohair in there, I mean, $5 is a steal. Okay, next up, we walked around a lot. We didn't do a whole lot of shopping. We tried to walk around a little bit more before we purchased stuff. But we came to this booth that had a bunch of fun fiber blends, PhiFiber. Lots of fun, colorful blends, I should say. And she also had a bunch of hand-spun yarns. And so we were looking at her hand-spun yarn just for fun. And I saw one that I really loved. And it looked like it came from the skein, or from the same colorway. So I asked the seller if they came from if that skein of hand-spun yarn came from this braid. And she said it did. And I loved it. So I was like, okay, may as well. It'd be a very fun spin. So this is, and it was only $17. So it's not bad at all. This is 4 ounces of merino silk. I wish she'd have put the percentage on there, but that's okay. And the colorway is Grape Ape. It's very soft. It's very staticky as well, so I have to be careful, otherwise it just looks poof. But this will be a slick spin. It is combed top, so it'll be slick as I'm spinning it, but I'm excited. It'll be very pretty. I could probably knit socks with this if I wanted, because silk is very strong. It would probably be more likely to felt being a merino, but that's fine. But the silk will help keep things nice and strong. So maybe I'll knit socks with this. Depends on, you know, how it ends up. But I'm just going to spin it for fun. Whatever happens, happens, and then I'll figure out what to do with it later. Or color work would be a lot of fun too. Okay, and then, let's see. There is a guy near me that does, actually I don't know where exactly he's based out of, but he's always at this fiber festival, and I had to go to him to ask him about my spinning wheel, because I just got my spinning wheel maybe a month-ish ago, and so I brought just this whole little setup with me in my bag to the fiber festival, because he does wheel repair, and he does a lot of beautiful woodworking, and so I brought this into him to see if he could give me a quote on making me some new bobbins, and I also wanted to see if I could find an orifice hook, I think that's what it's called, from him, because he's got a lot of beautiful woodworking things. So I got a hook from him. This is the hook that I got. I think it matches my wheel decently well. I mean, it has that little bit of light wood, but it's mostly dark wood, and I think it just works well. I also brought this so that I could make sure that I was getting a hook that fit, because I desperately need one. I don't have a hook that fits this right now, so I'm glad that I was able to find one that is nicely made and a decent price. But then I also got a quote from him on how much it would cost to get new bobbins made from him, because I haven't been able to find these bobbins online. I mean, I'm obviously going to keep my eye open on Facebook Marketplace and eBay and Facebook groups and stuff like that, but I just don't know where to find them. It's a Country Craftsman spinning wheel, and it's just an antique flax wheel. I don't know where to get bobbins. I could have my husband 3D print me some, but the reason I bought not the only reason, but I wanted a wheel to have the beautiful real wood, right? And so I want real wood bobbins. So I got a quote from him, and it's $45 a bobbin. So I think in the meantime, I only have 3 bobbins right now, and I still have my e-spinner, so I can still spin on my e-spinner. I can ply on my e-spinner. But I think I might have my husband 3D print me some bobbins for the meantime until I'm ready to splurge and get some nice wooden bobbins. This guy really knows what he's doing with woodworking, and so I'd really trust him to do a good job making bobbins. And I don't think 45 is like wildly priced. It's more than I was hoping for. More expensive than I was hoping for, but I know he would do a great job. and I would trust his work. So we'll see what happens. I might, you know, splurge someday in the future and get more bobbins, but we'll see, because I need more than just 3 bobbins for this thing. All right, I was gonna be done after that, but my friend had to leave early to go get her kids, and I still wanted to walk around a little bit more, so I did, and it was a shame really, but also really good, because I found this booth of people who are local to me that source BFL yarn. BFL Masham? Yeah. BFL Masham from the UK and then sell it here. They also dye, but I just got the natural colors. So I just had to. So I stopped at their booth and I talked to her for a while. I just admired the yarn. And then I talked to the seller for a while about BFL, because I was like, I love BFL more than anything in the world. And so we stopped and talked, because she's like, I do too. BFL is beautiful. You just have to source it from the right place. And we got talking about that, and I just really appreciated that conversation and all the chatting that we did. It was great, and it's fun that she's somewhat local. I don't know where they're based out of. I don't know if they're in Ohio or Kentucky or Indiana or something, but it's just, or even Pennsylvania, but it's just really fun. And so I had to get some. So I got 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn. These are, I'm gonna say this wrong, because I know this is not, here's the label. I know it's not Aisling, because it's from a different language. It's like, I'm not even gonna try. I saw a pronunciation for it on their Instagram page, but I don't remember what it was. But this is nice BFL yarn that has not been wildly treated. I think a lot of the yarns that we get here in the US get treated like heavily, and this one's very, very beautiful. It's just, I don't know, it's very natural, very rustic, but so soft because it's BFL, and so bouncy and woolen spun. Well, maybe it's like semi-woolen spun. And it has beautiful, you know, little halos. I'm just so excited about it. So this is fingering weight yarn, but it is $429 or $492, not $429. 492 yards in this 100-gram skein, which is wild to me. And so I have quite a bit of yardage in here. Usually fingering weight yarn is 437 yards. So I have quite a lot of yarn here. And I got it thinking I'd just make her a simple raglan sweater, like the Cozy Classic Light by Jessie May. I have one of those that I wear just all the time. However, I have a ton of BFL / BFL Masham fingering weight yarn in stash and scraps. So I've got 3 other colors of fingering weight BFL / BFL Masham yarns in my stash right now, but I also have these are leftovers from my Bojola pullover. This is Sonder Yarn Co., though the middle one is over dyed. And I think these would be beautiful with my dark brown as well. So I might wing some sort of color work, something, or stripes or something like that. I've been messing around with a couple ideas in my brain, but I don't know if I'll use all 3 of those colors, the yellow, purple, and gray, or if I'll just use the gray, or just the purple, or just the yellow, or just 2 of them. I really don't know what I'm going to do yet, but that's kind of the fun of having yarn in stash that doesn't have a set plan. I have an idea what I want to do with it. I have all the materials that I need, and someday I'll kind of figure out what I want and I'll just do it, and it'll be so much fun and magical. Some of my favorite projects have been just kind of having the yarn and then yarn that I love, and then building something around that. Kind of like my cardigan that I was showing you earlier. I knew what I wanted, but there's not a pattern, but I had the perfect yarn combo. It's a beautiful yarn combo and button combo, and so I'm building something based on that. And I love doing that, so I think that's what I'll do with this. I'll probably do a sweater with some sort of interesting color work, something, because I think that'd be beautiful. And it's taking place in my brain, but it's not quite there yet. I have a few ideas. I don't know if I want to merge them together. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm playing around. So I'm excited for that because I just love that color palette so much, and it's my favorite breed. So it'll be a lot of fun. All right, it's been a fun 2 weeks of knitting and Fiber Festival, but it's been fun. I feel like I got a lot of knitting done while still getting a lot of work done. It's been great. And I'm excited for the next 2 weeks. I'm thinking about like what I want to finish knitting. Hopefully I can get a lot of progress on my Minou cardigan. I know I'll get a lot of progress on that stockinette cardigan that I showed you. And I'll cast on my coming soon sweater. I'm really excited for all of the projects and to get some spinning in there. I really want to start a sweater spin. I just need to decide which one. It might be that fleece, it might be something else. I'm also itching to get some colorwork mittens on the go, on the needles, and some colorwork socks. So we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks, but I'm excited for all of the things. Oh, I also had, sorry, have to mention, and tease and kind of, you know, I also got a custom blend, fiber blend in the mail recently that I accidentally ordered at first, but then decided I was absolutely in love with it and just had to have it. So I didn't cancel the order, but it showed up in the mail and I'm so excited to get dyeing it and spinning it and knitting with it and kind of have fun with that. So I think that's definitely a priority for the next 2 weeks. So hopefully I'll have that to show you next time as well, but we'll see. Because I've already got big plans, big knitting plans for the next 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. But for now, that is all. Lots of fun stuff. Thank you for watching if you're still here. Thanks for sticking around. As always, I would very much appreciate it if you'd subscribe, hit the notification button. It just helps, you know, push out my videos to other people like you so we can just have more friends in this little community. Anyways, thanks again for watching. I will see you next time for the next video. Thanks everyone. Bye.